It was the evening of March 13th, 1997. People across Arizona, especially here in the valley, reported seeing a silent, miles-long V-shaped group of lights gliding quietly overhead.
If there were iPhones or Twitter back in 1997, the Phoenix lights would have been trending for weeks.
The lights all appeared in a line, a formation, as if they were connected to a singular craft.
It was extraordinary.
Hello everybody, today we're going to be talking about aliens, and I hope you're as excited as I am, because I love to talk about aliens. So the topic that we're going to be talking about today is probably considered one of the most widely witnessed UFO events in history. So the event that I'm talking about specifically is the Phoenix Lights. So for those that don't know the story, basically on March 13th in 1997, there were thousands of people in the area of Phoenix, Arizona, as well as other places like Henderson, Nevada, and Prescott Valley, who saw these weird V-shaped lights that were glowing orange and were slowly moving across the horizon. And a lot of people who reported this, they all said the same thing. So everyone who saw this was wondering what it is that they were looking at. So considering this many people saw this event, the question that kind of lingers in my mind is, what are these lights? What was this object? What is this UFO? So while reading most of these reports, I'm not really able to gauge exactly how wide or how big these lights or this UFO that had the lights is. We just know that it was flying over the Arizona sky very slowly. And it's just an event that everyone saw. I would assume it was a very large object because people from different areas of Arizona were able to see it, but I wasn't really able to find a definitive answer. And even off of the government reports and everything that the government has said, that the lights really, what they really were, don't really have an answer either. So we're going to go ahead and read some of the reports right now. At first, the lights appeared to them as 5 separate and distinct lights in an arc shape as if they were on top of a balloon, but they soon realized that the lights appeared to be moving towards them. So over the next 10 or so minutes, the lights appeared to come closer and closer. The distance between the lights increased and they took the shape of an upside down V. So now we know pretty much the general shape that everyone is talking about. It's like a V, kind of like a little boom, or like a weird boomerang. And it has lights on it, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and throw up a couple of pictures from the incident. All right, so taking a look at some of these photos, these don't look like stars. I know that there's a lot of people who look at things like this and can contribute it to just being a coincidental like alignment of some stars, or maybe some military aircraft that are flying in a certain formation. But I don't know, it's just because looking at it, you can see that they're just kind of stationary. Like they might be moving, but because of how old some of this footage is, I can't really tell how fast they're moving or if they're moving at all. But according to the reports, they were just very slowly. But you can see that they're just kind of lined up in a way that's like, it's weird. That's like the best way I can describe it. So the thing that bothers me the most about these lights is what the government said that the answer to these lights were. So everyone sees these lights, right? Everyone sees how slowly they're moving or how stationary they are and how bright they are. And you know what the government's answer to all of this was? So they said that this was a flare drop exercise done by different A-10 jets from the Maryland Air National Guard via Operation Snowbird, which no, it's not. So for anyone who's ever seen a flare before, you know that flares don't stay stationary. They move, like even though they move slowly, you can still visibly see them move, and you see that they leave a trail. For this, there is no trail. It being a flare makes no sense. Because here I can throw up a video of someone shooting a flare and you can clearly see how it leaves a trail and how it slowly starts to come down. And then when you compare it to what these lights are like, they're not leaving a trail, they're just stationary, and it just doesn't make any sense. So the government said that these flares would be visible in Phoenix and appeared to hover due to the rising heat from the burning flares and caused a balloon effect on their parachutes, which slowed the descent. The lights then appeared to wink out as they fell behind the Sierra Estrella mountain to the southwest of Phoenix. So if we believe what the government said, where the hell are the trails? Because even in the night sky, when you shoot a flare, there's still a trail that follows. But for all these videos and all these photos, there is no trail. And in this one video in particular, you can see that the lady who's talking about this shows that there's like a light on the right that's like a plane, and how bright these lights are. So I wouldn't say that I really believe what the government said about it being flares. It just doesn't really make sense to me. They just kind of... The lights are a little too stationary to be flares, and there's just no trail there. But also at the same time, let's look at the videos. Like, they just kind of, we don't know what they are. They're just lights. People say that these lights are aliens or UFOs, or it's just one giant UFO that's in an arc shape. And in which case, I mean, yeah, I can kind of see it. But at the same time, look at the footage. Like, it's not convincing enough. Like, it's very grainy, and these were taken in 1997, so you know, that's really the best we got. So what can we gather from these reports, from what the government is saying, and from these pictures and videos? Well, not much, really. Like, we don't really have concrete answers as to what it is that those lights were, because usually whenever it comes to UFOs or any sightings like that, we get answers from the government saying that, oh, it's a weather balloon, or oh, we were just doing a test with aircraft. But I really don't think it's anything that we should be concerned about, because, okay, let's think about it this way. If aliens really were visiting Earth and they were flying above us right now as we spoke, why wouldn't they make any contact with us? How come they haven't tried to communicate at all? Or maybe this is their form of communicating, and if it is, then they're doing a pretty shit job at communicating, because we're just asking more and more questions and they're not really giving us any answers. So I just find this whole story interesting. There's a lot of people who say that they've been like within 30 feet from the lights, but I don't know how credible those sources are. I wasn't really able to find any official statements from those people who were that close to those lights. Most of the reports that were somewhat credible were just people who said, hey, I saw the lights, they were flying that way, and that's it. So what are we supposed to do with that information? So now let me talk about this other incident. So we have an incident of someone who saw like a blue or white light that was coming down, kind of like a star, and then he goes outside and then he sees it.
We were watching television, and we have 6 dogs here, and they started raising a fuss. I went outside on the porch. I looked to the north, and there looked like a fallen star coming down. I looked at it, and I thought I was seeing things, and a blue and a white light come on it.
That's pretty much it. He just sees it. Like, his dogs are going crazy, and they don't really know what's going on. So they send someone down there to analyze, see what's going on. And you know what he says it is?
Everybody wants Hynek to say, spaceships, little green men. And instead, he says, what these witnesses describe could have been swamp gas.
There's no way. There's just no way. Like, okay, I get that we can't just say, oh, aliens are real, and then we have concrete evidence. But at the same time, when we have the government saying things like, oh, it's swamp gas, it kind of makes it makes us question more of what the hell's going on. Like, are they covering something up, or are they just stupid? Whether the government is stupid by saying that it was swamp gas, or whether they were stupid by thinking that we would believe that, is the choice is yours. You can believe whatever you want to believe. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that the Phoenix lights are real? Because personally, I think they're real, but we don't actually know what they are. So whenever you hear about the Phoenix lights, you're either on one side or the other. You're either, it was flares, it was the National Guard testing something, it was just lights. It was just something that the government did. Or you're on the other side thinking, okay, well, it's aliens. It's got to be aliens. It's a UFO. We don't know what it is. It's an extraterrestrial being who's trying to communicate with us somehow. But you don't really hear anyone who's on kind of like in the middle ground. And by that I mean like, okay, we know that it's something, but I don't believe it's the government. And I also don't think it could be like an alien communicating with us. It could just be some sort of phenomenon that isn't explained, or at least we haven't found an explanation to yet. While I would like to think that it's aliens, at the end of the day, I don't really think that it's another extraterrestrial life form, or at least one with advanced intelligence like humans do. Because at the end of the day, to say that there is no other life form in our universe is just kind of irresponsible to say, because we don't know for sure if there's other life forms out there. Whether they're intelligent life or not is up to debate. We really don't know. But we know for sure that we can't be the only ones in the universe. Like it's not possible. But I don't know. At the same time, I can kind of understand why people don't want to believe what the government is saying, because personally I don't find that whole flare excuse to be reasonable. Like it just doesn't make any sense, honestly, because that's just not how flares work. Like if they said anything else, like literally anything else, like a weather balloon or like an aircraft that they were testing out for like espionage or something like that, it would have been more believable than to say flares, because it just, I don't know, like from those videos, like I wasn't born when it happened. I can't really say for sure what it is that people saw. I can just go based off of the reports, off of these videos that were just not good quality, and just kind of come up with my own conclusions based off of what I've seen. I also do have to point out that there are videos that are just straight up fake. Like there's this one that I found that's just someone pointing a camera up at the sky, and then there's like a row or like a weird line of, I guess, stars or objects, and there's just no context. Like it just says UFO found footage or whatever the fuck the title. I'm gonna throw up the title of whatever the video is on screen, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like it's probably easy to debunk, but it's not something that I'm gonna look at and say, yeah, those are aliens. That it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Phoenix Lights. Well, while I was researching it, I definitely came up with more questions than answers. I do have my own conclusions about what it could be. As I stated, it could be like, you know, just an object or something that we haven't found an explanation to yet, but it's not flares, and maybe it's not an alien, but who knows, you know. The best thing that we can do is just kind of come up with our own conclusions until we get a definitive answer, which, I mean, I don't know, it's been nearly 30 years now since the incident happened. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to talk about. It was fun researching this. I do like talking about UFO stuff and like weird creepy things, like maybe ghosts and stuff, which might be the next video I cover. I still haven't really decided yet, but the researching stuff like this is very interesting, because you get to hear the perspective of the people who say they were there, and then you listen and hear, like you listen, you read and see all the reports, and then it makes you question well, if something really is out there. But yeah, that's about it. I just want to say thank you very much for everyone who stuck around to the end of the video. You deserve my big thanks. If I could give you like a nice little fist bump, I would. But yeah, just thank you very much. I am gonna go ahead and start working on the next video. It might be ghost related. I'm still not entirely sure what though. I just know that I wanted to cover something a little bit creepier, and then tell some scarier stories, you know. So, but anyway, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video. See you later. Make sure you stay hydrated.